What if grinding, hustling, striving, just pushing, just feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like you have to keep pushing, getting up earlier, staying up later, working harder, grinding? What if those things actually aren't the keys to achieving the success that you're looking for in your life? What if we've been fed a belief system that may not be serving us currently in our life? Well, if you find yourself in that mode of life where you're grinding, feeling like you're stressed all the time, just out there trying to just achieve, get, and you're not necessarily seeing the results that you're looking for, today I've got a question for you, number one, and then I've got a 4-step framework that I want to walk you through that might challenge those beliefs a little bit. And when you challenge those beliefs and take this back in-house with your own thoughts, and then begin to potentially make a different choice in your life, with those different choices, you have an opportunity to get a different result. And those different results is exactly what I want for you moving forward. So if any of that sounds like it fits into where you are today in your life, this is going to be a great episode. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Rich Mind Podcast.
All right, welcome back. Today, let's challenge the belief of the hustle culture, the grinding, the getting up at 5 a.m., working till midnight, just nose to the grindstone feeling. Trust me, been there, done that, still have that every now and then, meaning feeling like I need to do that even when I don't have the desire, I don't have the feeling that I should. I still find my mind reverting back to the feelings that I should do these things. So today I want to challenge that belief with you. And actually, even talking through it is going to help challenge that belief within myself as well. So once again, welcome back to the Rich Mind Podcast, and let's dive in. So just understand that these feelings of needing to achieve, needing to grind, needing to hustle is something that you've been fed your entire life, and it's become a habit within your own system. I can remember growing up. Part of my story is that my father was pretty tough on me. He wasn't physically abusive, even though I had my butt beat every now and then. There's no doubt about that. But anyways, he was more emotionally tough on me. My story really goes back to when I was in sports. I really always wanted to be a basketball player. That was my number one goal. I wanted to play professionally basketball. Didn't care where, didn't care how. That was before I grew up to be only 6 foot tall and could jump okay, had a decent shot, but I wasn't ever able to take it to the next level. Well, I remember telling my father that I had goals and aspirations to do this back when I was in, let's say, middle school. So early teenage years. That one statement triggered pressure beyond belief. Let's just put it that way. He would push me, challenge me in ways which were good. So we hear stories out there, maybe let's return this back to even just what's going on in today's world, right? You'll see documentaries of different sports or different athletes. I can think of maybe the Williams sisters that in tennis, similar. I can think of maybe even Tiger Woods in golf, maybe similar. And I can somewhat relate to those stories, meaning my father was pretty tough on me to the point where I didn't necessarily have the skill set to achieve that level of success that I was looking for when I was a child, or when I was, in that growing up years of my life. So with that said, I began to hustle harder, work harder, push harder towards a goal that you could tell pretty easily that I was not going to make it. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? So there again, it gets back into the stories and beliefs that I even have in my own mind. And you can, make your own decision based on what I've said so far. But as far as whether that's, that's right or that's wrong, it's just a decision, or as far as a choice. But at the same time, when I look back on that phase or that part of my life, I really took the habit of being that way, thinking that I wasn't worthy. I always wanted him to be proud of me. I've said that to my wife, that even up to his passing, I can't remember ever him telling me that he was proud of me for anything that I'd done. And it wasn't that he didn't love me. He just never shared those feelings with me, which is something that I desperately needed, desperately wanted. And I find myself even today still seeking that type of approval from other people, which makes me then get triggered a lot more often. You'll hear me talk about triggers in the episodes in the past, and obviously we'll talk about more of that in the future. But when that happens, when I get triggered, it makes me feel like I need to do more, to go out there and push myself, to live up to some kind of expectation that I believe somebody has for me. I thought that if I worked harder, that if I scored more points, that if I, whatever, in the basketball game, right, for my father, I thought that he would love me more. I thought that he would finally tell me that he was proud of me. But in reality, no matter how well I did, I was always pushed to do more. I mean, I could score 20, 30 points a game, hit a few three-pointers. Three-point shots were actually just becoming around back when I was in high school. But anyways, hit a few three-point shots, have a really good game in my mind, right? Coach thought I did well. We might even have won the game. But on the ride home, it was that ride home was the worst, meaning I'd be in the back seat. Yeah, I take that back. I'd probably be in the front seat with him. I was old enough then at that point, obviously. But the silence sometimes was deafening. He would just be silent. He wouldn't say anything. And I knew in that moment or in those moments, right? Because I'd been through that so many times that if I did not, that I had not lived up to his expectation. I don't know. And so then, well, we're riding home, right? I'm running the game through my mind. Okay, did I do this? What did I do? Did I turn the ball over? Did I set the screen wrong? What did I do? Did I miss this shot? Did I miss a layup? I don't know what I did. Maybe I sat down on the bench wrong. I don't know. It was the stupidest things that he would be upset with me with or about. And then once again, like I said, he wouldn't physically take it out on me, but boy, he'd let me have it. And he would tell me basically I was a piece of crap. I was just terrible. I was never going to achieve what I was looking for if I didn't change or hustle more or work harder, get out and practice, just all of those things. And that time frame of my life, that teenage years, has bled over into how I've worked. Like in my retail days, my 20 plus years in retail, I was always just working harder. The story of when I had my own store, I always wanted my manager or my boss, right, my supervisor, and then the company itself to be proud of me. That's always what I wanted. I always wanted to do a good job. I never felt like I was worthy of that. So I would work harder. And I was never able to get it. They closed my store. I would change locations. The people didn't necessarily appreciate my style. It was awful. But the problem and the point of the story of what I've even sharing with you here today is that what I've discovered having stepped away from those environments and really going to work on myself, me, is that my drive to have this worthy feeling, this drive of me wanting for someone else to give me and tell me that they were proud of me has kept me away from experiencing more of my own life, experiencing the good things about me. I've had to slow down a lot over the last maybe 10 years. I mean, I have to go back and actually do the math as far as how long it's been. But since I've stepped away from the W-2 world, I don't have a problem working, as I've mentioned several times, right? I have a weekend job and I enjoy it, right? And that's the difference is I don't have to force myself to do it. I don't have to force myself to get up and record the episodes of the podcast. I don't have to force myself to build out a web page or anything else, study marketing or learn about business. I don't have to force myself to do any of those things because I actually enjoy them. I'm not doing them for someone else. So that would be the first question, is that are your activities today in your life, whether it's work, whether it's even just your normal day-to-day activities, are you doing them for someone else? Are you doing them to try to get some recognition, some praise, some anything like that, based on even what I've shared with the story so far today, right? Are you doing any of those things for outside recognition? And if you are, I would challenge yourself right now. Take a minute and think through the activities that you're going through on a day-to-day basis. And are you doing those things for other people? Now, I understand we have obligations. We might have a job. We might have different things that we need to get done, and we might not necessarily be able to just, shut it all off at any given time. But what I would ask you to do is just to acknowledge the fact that you are doing it or that you're choosing to do it in that moment, not specifically for someone else, that you're doing it to provide a service, to be able to be compensated, to take care of your family, or even take care of yourself if you're solo, right? If you're by yourself. Figure out a way to take out that feeling that you need to keep striving and working harder for someone else. Now, if you have a big project, something big that you're working on, building out this podcast would be a great example, right? When I first started and launched the podcast, I was studying and I was working hard, meaning I wasn't, that's where it's even using that word hard. Hard just meaning longer than normal. I was spending more time online, spending more time investing in other resources, whether it was YouTube videos or other podcasts or reading books. That's what I mean by hard. I was just spending and focusing more of my time on the idea that I wanted to become and be better and launch a successful podcast. So that's what I mean by hard. It felt harder because it was out of my normal routine. Maybe that's where that's coming from in my own mind. I was stepping away from the routine of not doing it, obviously, to moving into a routine of doing the research, launching the podcast, hitting record. And so it feels hard because it's just different. But the idea, though, is that I've launched this podcast. It hasn't been necessarily for other people. Now I'm trying to help you and I'm trying to help anybody listening to think through their own thoughts, because that's been my biggest discovery, is that it's not out there. The challenges that you're seeing in your exterior 3D world, I get it. They appear to be coming through your five senses, right? And a lot of it is your sight and your hearing, your smelling, taste, touch, right? We all know the five senses. But the point is that those experiences out there are a reflection of what's going on inside of you through your beliefs and through your stories, and then the stories you attach or the meanings you attach to those activities going on in your exterior environment. It's taken me decades to start even begin to comprehend that. So I'm trying to articulate that in different ways and better ways every single time we jump on and hit record here today or any other time. And I try to share real life stories, or at least stories that hopefully will resonate with you. But today, with today's episode, I want to just question you. Are you, in your activities, are you doing that for someone else? Are you trying to get accolades, titles, recognition, compensation? How many of your activities on a day-to-day basis are solely just the purpose of them are to get something from somebody out there? And if you're not having some internal gratitude, internal acknowledgement, if you're not enjoying the process, then in my experience, you're headed down the wrong road. You're headed down the wrong path. You're going to get to that destination, whatever it is, that compensation, that recognition, that whatever, and you'll get there and you won't even, it's like, okay, now what? And then you're off to the next thing, instead of trying to realize and to recognize that it's the process. It's the step-by-step process. It's gaining control of your thoughts in every single moment that you possibly can. When you get triggered or anything that's going on in your outside environment, when you gain control as much as you possibly can, because we are on autopilot most of the time, but when you start to become an active participant, when you start thinking about what you're thinking about, you can actually start to mold and change the way your life will be out there in your exterior environment. And that's the amazing thing. And it's not manipulation. You're not trying to manipulate anybody. You're just perceiving things differently than what you did in the past. So it's that process of, number one, recognizing it. So first off, and I've already asked it a couple of times, who are you trying to achieve for? And are you achieving those things for somebody else for a reason that may not be serving you anymore? Do you need to drop it? And I would encourage you to do that. And then the last step of the framework that I promised you, I call it the PACE framework, PACE. And the PACE framework, first step in the PACE framework is you're going to pause. As I mentioned, and I have mentioned in the past, right? That gap. You need to get a gap from the stimulus to the reaction or the response. I'd rather you respond versus react. We can talk about that again in the future. I have had discussions about that in previous episodes, but we're trying to expand and widen the gap between the stimulus and the response. And how we're going to do that, first step, we're going to pause. We're going to try to take in the moment and just be with the moment versus reacting, right? Versus just feeling like you need to keep going, keep hustling, keep grinding. just relax for a minute. Take a deep breath and realize that everything is just fine. Step 2 in PACE is we're going to acknowledge. And I mentioned that earlier in today's episode. I just need you to acknowledge that you're even having that thought or that you're even having that feeling. I've mentioned for myself in the past, right? When I get triggered, I can almost feel my temperature rise. I can feel my blood pressure. I can feel potentially even a headache, something like that, stress of some kind. When I feel like I'm striving for somebody else, I just feel like I have to just go get something done, right? I need to be busy. I need to feel like I'm being busy. And what I want you to do with the PACE framework is I just want you to acknowledge that you're having those feelings. Just recognize them. And that is a great step. That's been a great step for me to trying to get control. And then the third step, we're going to choose. I want you to realize that everything in your life is really just a simple choice. You get to, simple probably isn't the right word. It's a choice, period. I mean, you just have to choose differently. You need to have the stimulus. You need to have the wide gap. And then when you go to respond, that's a choice. Versus when you're reacting and you're just on autopilot, that's not necessarily a choice. You are currently choosing in those moments, but it's short-lived. It's not who you really want to be. So take a moment with the pause, with the acknowledgement, and just choose. Actively choose how you want to respond in each particular moment when you feel like you need to go out there and hustle. And then the last step in PACE is engage. Now, I can't sit here and tell you that you just need to sit in a quiet room and just meditate all day and just everything's going to start flowing to you. You still need to engage with your world. You'll still need to engage with your thoughts. But that's the whole point. You want to engage with them. I'm a huge advocate of journaling. This has been something that's really has helped me a lot. I'd gotten away from it over the last few months. I mentioned in the last episode how I was going through a little bit of a challenge in my own personal life. I'd gotten away from the habit and now I've picked it back up again and I'm going to continue. I would encourage you to get in the habit of getting your thoughts out of your head. And that's a great way to engage with them. No one else needs to read them. No one else will ever see them unless obviously you pass away and somebody gets a hold of your journals. But the point is that it's a great way for you to engage with your thoughts, to engage with how you feel, to engage with any kind of stimulus that's going on out there in your world. And if you apply this framework, the PACE framework in your life, along with that first question of why, and is it true? Do you need to follow through with what you're thinking in that moment? I promise you that this framework for myself has been a game changer. And I will tell you that I'm working on it every single day. I'm not perfect at it, but it's practice. It takes practice. And what I will tell you from my own experience is that you'll get better at it. I feel like I'm getting better at it every single day. So much so that even I was triggered even just the other day. And I'm literally being able to start finding and feeling that like in real time. Like as soon as I get triggered, I'm able to catch myself and run myself through this PACE framework and get myself to relax. Get myself to realize that I don't need to go that I don't need to go be busy for no reason. It's just, it's relaxing. It's calming. It's allowing me to respond better, which is allowing me to then show up and be better on the podcast, show up and be better as a husband, as a grandfather, as a father, and just as a person in general, right? And that's what I think success truly is. Yes, we want stuff, right? I want my 69 Camaro. You might want a different car. We all want stuff. But the point is that the stuff is a result of just slowing down, responding differently to the stimulus that's going out there. And that way you can make better choices, better decisions, engage a little bit differently. And those results will then start to appear in your life. And that's been my experience. So I encourage you to today, with the call to action, what I would like for you to do, get your journal out and start recording some of the thoughts that are going on in your mind. Do you feel like you're hustling or having to hustle, that you should hustle? Ask yourself that question today. Get a journal out. Write the question at the top of the page. Who is it that I feel like I need to continue to hustle for? Why am I feeling like I'm always grinding? And why am I not necessarily achieving the results that I'm looking for? I get it. That's a long question, but write that out and then sit with yourself and think about it for a few moments. Just relax. See what comes to the surface. You might have a story similar to mine. Your story might be completely different, but the point is it's your story. and sit with it. Understand that that pain or that discomfort that you might have been experiencing when you were little, younger, it's going to help you. It's actually going to show you who you're trying to become. And it's going to actually allow you then to step into the better version of yourself moving forward. So then once you get that question answered, run through the PACE framework, right? Think through, make a journal entry of just kind of how you're feeling. Where do you want to improve? Who do you need to let go of? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to quit feeling like you're chasing after, and start becoming and start seeing some gratitude, some being grateful for the things that you have in your life today, like right now in your environment? What are, name off 4 or 5 things in your environment right now that you could be grateful for. Just name them off. Talk to yourself, write it down. The point is the activity of writing things down. Once again, it's a game changer. I didn't believe it for the longest time, but since I picked up the practice, I'm telling you, it's been life-changing for myself. So appreciate your time and attention. If you think and found this message valuable, I'd appreciate for you to go out there to the podcast platform of your choice and leave me a review. If you wouldn't mind sharing this with family and friends, I'd really appreciate that as well. You can head over to richmind.co and check out all of the resources that I have available for you there. You can also reach out to me, info@richmind.co. And don't hesitate to drop me a line. Let me know kind of where you feel, where your belief systems are, right? Maybe you disagree with me, which is absolutely fine. Let's have a discussion about it. Maybe you can teach me something that I'm always trying to learn and improve upon my own self, my own personal development as well. So reach out to me, info@richmind.co, and I look forward to hearing from you there. Follow me on all the podcast platforms that you can find, right? Including YouTube. If you search for Randy Wilson on YouTube or the Rich Mind Podcast, that should pop up there. And don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel if you feel like it's been valuable for you in your life. So once again, have a fantastic day. I appreciate your time and attention, and I look forward to coming back with the next episode again very soon. Until then, folks, bye now.